Welcome to the high school basketball jam session, brought to you by Davies Pharmacy, the Hackenberg Financial Group, Ash Family Dentistry, the law firm of Krugliax, Wilkins, Griffiths, and Doherty, Chick-fil-A, Kimball Companies, Friends and Family Credit Union, and BSN Sports. Good evening. Welcome to High School Jam Session. Mark Malone alongside the best in the business, TJ Downing. TJ, last show of the season. It's hard to believe the season's already over.
You know, I might get a little choked up. You know how that goes with us.
You are emotional.
Yeah, you might get a couple tears out here for the end of the show. But no, it's always tough, you know, when we get to the end. But it's also a positive, too, because we get to highlight some of these kids and really the ones that excelled and took their game to another level. So the guys that we're going to get to talk about, the guys and the girls here throughout this show, it'll be pretty special to highlight them.
And we did. We had some teams that made some nice runs in the tournament. But, TJ, before we got into the all-Downing team, I know is very anticipated by everybody here in Northeast Ohio, I wanted to talk a little bit about some of the state championship games that we had. That Division I game was entertaining. Centerville lost to Pickerington Central. Centerville came into that game undefeated. They were 29-0 coming into this one. I really thought Centerville was going to win this.
Yeah, hey, when you come in unbeaten and, you know, you're going against a Pickerington Central team that, you know, just think about this. As Sonny Stiles, the son of legendary Lorenzo Stiles, who played his ball down there at Ohio State, as he kind of wraps up his career there for the Tigers, you and I had a chance to call a game of his when they came over and played the Massillon Tigers, but he was able to put a state championship on the shelf for football, now for basketball as well, so a very accomplished career. But, man, I'll tell you what, Elks coming into that game undefeated, you kind of just felt like it would be their season. And to see that score at times, I believe Pickerington Central was up by 20 points in that thing. So, tip of the cap to them, man. I'll tell you what, Tigers have had a heck of a run over the last couple of years. Pickerington is thriving.
They are, and I'll tell you, you talk about Centerville, I mean, they were defending state champions, got past Ignatius last year, got past Ignatius again to get into this championship game, and boy, I really thought they were going to wind up winning it because they had a ton of kids coming back from last year's team, so congratulations to Pick Central. No surprise here, Division II, St. V 63, Gilmore Academy 35. TJ, it's really not fair for these schools to be playing against St. V and D2.
Yeah, but even as you look at Gilmore Academy throughout the first half of that game, you know, and for us, when we got a chance to see Louisville and St. V square off, and, you know, it became a 20, 30-point game within a matter of minutes, there were some defensive moments there in the first half of that game where St. V struggled a little bit with Gilmore, but boy, when they put their foot down on the gas and really Sincere Harris and Raymar Pryor, what they were able to do, and the big fella Stratford down low, you're right. And throughout the entire state of Ohio, people are sitting there scratching their heads saying, why is this a D2 team? Why is this a private school that's able to even compete with these public schools when it doesn't seem like there's a fair, competitive balance?
No, there truly isn't. But I'll tell you, maybe the best game of the 4 state championship games was Cincinnati Taft taking down Ottawa Glandorf. Now, that was 48-45. This Ottawa Glandorf team was really good. These kids have been together forever, played really well together. Congrats. And this is a number 9 seed that won it.
Yeah, when you look at the records of all the teams, the 8 teams that were able to compete and play for a state championship this past Sunday, just yesterday, 18-8 on the season for Taft. You expected Ottawa Glandorf to probably get this done, but this is why this time of year is always special to me. I love seeing the tournament, the college basketball tournament. You get a 15 seed like St. Peter's, they're able to advance, and you give the small guy a chance. Now, for St. Peter's or for Taft at 18-8, you get into the tournament here and you make a run and be a 9 seed in there, and it just goes to show you that if you can lock in, even if you had 8 losses on the season, doesn't matter who you played on that schedule. You know, we talked a lot about St. Thomas this year and what they were able to do.
Yep.
Tough season, a tough grinder coming in, but they were able to stay locked in and get into the regionals there. So, tip of the cap to Taft, man. I'll tell you what, really impressive team.
I did better in my state champions for Ohio high school basketball than I did my NCAA tournament bracket, which is absolute garbage at this stage of the game. But this next one was no surprise to me. Richmond Heights taking down Madison Tri-Valley 50-29. But TJ, what's so impressive about this win for Richmond Heights, they did it without Josiah Harris. Got hurt in the semifinal game, hurt his knee. They limited that team to 29 points.
Another one we got to kind of sit courtside and watch there over at the field house when Richmond Heights took the court against your alma mater, St. Thomas Aquinas. And boy, the athleticism was just on a whole different level. And even without JoJo Harris, what they were able to do, impressive. Got a chance to see Bobby Huckins here doing a little bit of the post-game commentary here throughout the March Madness brackets, and he's going to be getting a good one with JoJo Harris, but it just goes to show you how deep they were, and down there in Division IV, teams just not even really be able to compete with them.
You know, I knew that they were going to wind up winning, not because they had beaten St. Thomas and St. Thomas was going to win it all, but the way that they handled that business. And then they turned around, they went down, and they destroyed Highland. It wasn't even close in any of these games. St. Thomas and Margarita, Margarita, they had put them the closest. I think that was 20, 22 points. Other than that, I mean, every one of the games were blowouts. So congratulations to all those champions this year. We're going to take a short break. We come back. It's going to be the beginning of the all-Downing team, so stay tuned.
Are you looking for something different? At Friends and Family Credit Union, our success is defined by you. Our goal is to improve your financial needs and better your lifestyle. Friends and Family Credit Union provides loans, savings, checking, and other financial services to anyone who lives, works, worships, or attends school in Stark County. Our friendly staff is fully committed to serving over 11,000 of its members. What are you waiting for? Stop in one of our locations today to become a friend of the family.
We're your neighbor.
We are drivers.
We are haulers.
We are recyclers.
We are collectors.
We are sorters.
We are communicators.
We are administrators.
We are navigators.
We are supporters.
We are heavy lifters.
We are hard workers.
We are early risers.
We are late nighters.
We get the job done.
And we get it done right.
We are a team.
We are a family.
We are Kimball.
We are Kimball. We are Kimball.
We are Kimball.
Recycling and disposal done right.
Hello, I'm Terry Moore, an attorney with Krugliak, Wilkins, Griffiths, and Doherty. Our attorneys and families have special connections with the sports programs in Stark, Tuscarawas, and Holmes counties. I played basketball at Canton Lehman High School and at Youngstown State University. My daughter coaches at North Canton Hoover High School. We understand the commitment it takes to build successful programs, and we are proud to support the local athletes in this program.
Welcome back to the second quarter of the show, and as we promised you, we're going to talk about our first, second, and third team players of the year players, I should say, first and second, third team. And TJ, I'll tell you, it wasn't an easy thing to go through, and the thing that I really enjoyed about when I looked through your list was that there were some schools, smaller schools, that were making their way up into that first and second team level, and I think that there were some kids that were really deserving too.
Well, truly deserving of the honor. I mean, you know, it's when we talk about breaking down the small schools compared to the big schools, and a lot of people will say, okay, if we took this kid, for instance, a Braden Coste over from Minerva and put him on a North Canton Hoover team, how would that work out? Or, better yet, take an Eli Barker or a Tanner Ware and put him on Minerva's team, and how may that work out? So, you know, you can always say this or that and who's and what's, but all of these guys on this first, second, and third team are worthy of being on here. Despite the record, throw those out the door. This is how good of a basketball player you were. It's not you can have one great player on your team, but three or four that just maybe not be able to get it done still means you're deserving of the honor.
I don't think it was real hard picking Will Aljancic to be on the first team.
Oh, it wasn't. And as we start off an all-Downing team, like an all-Madden team, here's a guy that when he does his hair in the morning, it looks big. I mean, I'll tell you what, the hair out there on the court, the high shorts rolled up, you know, the talent that's there for Coach Tom Siegfried and this team coming back next year with Will Aljancic and also another one that we'll talk about here on this first team, Hayden Nigro. I mean, these two together are just a power duo throughout this area. And it showed itself, Mark, that they made a historic run for their high school. Will Aljancic led the county in scoring. I mean, just a super, super talent. Going to be really fun to watch how he progresses here as he does some off-season stuff and prepares himself for the 2022-23 school year and to try and make another big run for this Louisville Leopards school.
And when you look at that Louisville team, they got a ton of kids that are coming back. They're only losing one starter there. But you knew Zack Otto had to be on this list. I mean, he was Mr. Everything for Green for really 4 years. He's been a varsity basketball player, and I think Walsh is getting a great kid.
Yeah, we're all excited to see what he's able to do when he gets there. And for me, Zack Otto, as we kind of broke these teams down and we had talked about on some previous shows, you know, making it more like a starting five. So we're going to have your big man, you're going to have your forwards, you're going to have your backcourt with your guards. Zack Otto was a guy that really could do it all. We saw games, Mark, in the second matchup against McKinley, where he was bringing the ball up the court. So it's fun to see a talent like that, a big man that can dribble, shoot, and post up, and flex his muscle when he has to.
Jayla Graham, I know he was somebody you've been high on all season long for McKinley. And I still think that this was Coach V's probably best coaching job in all the time that he's been over at McKinley, but he had an exceptional season.
Yeah, and really McKinley kind of impressed throughout the entire season as they really started to ramp up towards the tournament. They just continue to get better. And Coach V, as you talk about the job he did, I mean, you got to even talk about him as a potential coach of the year because they were not expecting to be where they were at the end of the season. So he got those guys rolling in the right direction, but it all starts with a court general, somebody leading you out there, and that was Julius Graham.
Kevin, big games over at Jackson. I'll tell you what a career he had over at Jackson, and he can do it all.
Yeah, going to be heading down to ODU down there in Columbus, so Dominican's going to be getting a good one with him. He can shoot the lights out. Was a no-brainer putting him on there. He was the true leader of this Jackson team. Though there was a bunch of good scorers within there, and a guy that may be left off of here like a J.J. Vaughn didn't impress as much as Kevin James did. Kevin James, you could always pretty much count on him every night, Mark.
You know, we talked about the smaller schools making their way into this first team. Mike Miner down at Malvern, I mean, great career down there, scored over 1,000 points. Unfortunately, he got hurt, in the tournament. But this kid could play. Yeah, and if he doesn't get hurt, I think it's a completely different game against Highland. Now, Mike Miner, he's going to be heading over to Alliance. He's going to be playing for the Purple Raiders, so I'm excited to see what his future holds. Mike Miner is a heck of a talent. Man, when he stretches that court with his length, his shooting ability, you could always expect on any given night that he was going to be in double digits. Next kid wanted to talk about Hayden Nigro. I tell you what, you talk about Jordan and Pippen. There's your combination right there. I'm trying to figure out who's Jordan because on any given night, and Mark, I mean, Hayden could be the guy that could step up and lead the team, or it could be Will. So these two kind of battled back and forth. Mark, you know as well as I do, in any sporting event, when you have competition within your team, everybody's going to get better. Yeah, Trey Mark over at Green, great football career, great basketball career. Ashland's getting a great student athlete that's over there. He was an easy pick also. Yeah, and really for us, to see some of the guys that we talked about throughout this season kind of transition from the football field onto the basketball court, between him and Trayshawn Foster, I thought those were two guys that were able to come from fall into winter and impact their team the most. Trey Martin alongside Zack Otto, that really was the fuel that got Green the distance that they did inside of the tournament. How about Eli Barker over at North Canton? Yep, Eli Barker and Coach Bluey, he knew that he was going to be a guy that was going to have to roll every night. Now, Eli kind of struggled in their final game when they were taken out of the tournament by Hoban, but you could always count on him. And there was times where Tanner Ware, he had come out and really caught fire early in the season, averaging 18 points. And when a little bit of that luster and that shine wore off for him, it was always Eli Barker there that was there for the Vikings, and they needed to get a W. We've had some super sophomores. How about Cam Horning over at Lake? He's another one. Yeah, Cam Horning and alongside Chance Kastenheiser, I mean, it was hard to kind of toss up who you'd want to put on this team, but when you broke down the number, Cam Horning was a guy that had to be on this first team. We kind of bounced back and forth on where we would put him. We knew that just as a young guy, and a few young guys on these teams throughout 1 through 3, he was a guy that we just felt he deserved to be on the first team. And coming back, Coach Tom McBride going to love having him on the court. I'll tell you what, I'm looking at your second team. I don't know how you did this, but I love the fact that Julius Kimbrough is on this second team from St. Thomas. And again, a super sophomore. Super soft, got to have him out there. Coach Gianmarco counted on him every night, and really a deep team for the St. Thomas Aquinas Knights. Again, we talked about it in the first quarter here that, they ran into a buzzsaw with Richmond Heights, but some St. Thomas Aquinas guys that we're going to see throughout this team here. Julius Kimbrough is at the top for me. Brady Knoll had a great season down at Canton South, too. I think when you look at the impact he had and where we talk about teams riding the roller coaster, kind of like how Jackson did and Coach Tim DeBevick had to ride that wave, Coach Conley over there for the Wildcats,
he knew that Brady Knoll, the big fella, everything was going to go through him. A guy that was left off of this team here, we just didn't feel had enough numbers. Akeel Martin, the way those two played off of each other, that was a reason why Canton South was able to have some success as they did.
I'll tell you what, when you look at Alliance, they're going to have a nice nucleus coming back next year, and Diego Allen's going to be a big part of their success.
And I'm interested to see how the recruiting will take off for him, because Diego Allen is a talent that will play college basketball somewhere. He will gain the attention of some recruiting and some scouting as they come in to Alliance and look at him. But Diego Allen was really the fuel for Coach Kakura.
I tell you, second team just keeps getting better. Nate Frascone over at Tussle had a huge season.
Yep, he was the big man that we knew was going to be the leader on this second team, and Nate Frascone led the county in rebounding and really just dominated when they needed him the most. At times in the tournament there, he had some bumps and bruises, but, you know, the big fellow was able to fight through it. Really proud of his toughness and the way he was able to attack the glass. Well deserving of second team.
I have no dog in this fight with Braden Castilla, but he, to me, was one of my favorites all time this year. I mean, you look at him, he was a tenth of a point behind Will Aljancic. The kid averaged 80% from the free throw line. And no disrespect to his teammates, there wasn't a whole lot of help that he had on that Minerva team to do
No, there
this.
wasn't. And Coach Sean Green, he's a great coach, good friend of mine, and a lot of great coaching has come out of there down in that area. My uncle Bruce Wright, Rich Hart, all those guys have kind of played an impact as Braden has kind of climbed through the ranks in his young career. And now we're going to see him to Geneva, following in the footsteps of Andre Norman, another three-ball legend down there at Minerva. So I'm happy for Braden Costier to be able to put him on this team. Boy, when he shot that three ball, man, you just knew. When you look at the percentages, they were going to splash at least 1 out of 3 times. So you love seeing that as a coach.
And he was shooting some of those from Alliance. I mean, he was
Yes,
he was that deep when he was there. Another McKinley kid, Trayshawn Foster, had a nice season.
Talked about him and Trey Martin being the carryovers from the fall to the winter on the hardwood, and I felt that Trayshawn Foster, outside of Jayla Graham, he was a big reason why McKinley was able to make the run that they did.
Chase Kassenheimer, how many times was he our player of the week or one of the players of the week that we had over at Lake? I think the Blue Streak's got a nice nucleus coming back next year.
Yeah, they do. I mean, similar to what we see here with Hayden Nigro and Will Aljancic, that Kassenheiser and also Cam Horning, they can feed off of each other. McBride, a great coach, mix in a couple other pieces, and they're going to be a really good team next year.
Tanner Ware at North Canton, you talked a lot about him during the regular season.
Yeah, very easily could have been a first-team guy. I think a little bit of the steam fell off for him towards the end of the year, maybe in that middle part there, as we talk about how odd it can be with Christmas break and New Year's. And some guys, they kind of lose a little bit of that gel. Tanner came out of the blocks hot, man, averaging 18 points, deserving of second team.
You had to have one Golden Eagle on there. I saw the wings starting to come out. You're talking
Yes,
about
sir.
Ja'Cory Lipkins, and he deserves to be there, too.
He is. I mean, Glen Oak struggled a lot this year. I think they're going to get better as we come down the next 2 or 3 years here. Coach Rick Harrison, he knows what he's doing. He's had to work with rebuilding some programs before. So Coach Harrison relied on Ja'Cory Lipkins a lot, and when they did, they were able to get some victories out of him.
Hey, buddy, we've got one more team to get through. We're going to talk about the girls, too, so stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few seconds.
I'm more than just your pharmacist. I'm your neighbor. Our kids go to the same schools.
We eat at the same restaurants.
Even shop at the same stores.
More of the money you spend in my pharmacy on quality, competitively priced products
Stays in our local economy.
Support your local Good Neighbor Pharmacy.
And make our community a better place to live.
Get to know your neighbor at goodneighborpharmacy.com.
In Canton, see Matt and Steve Fettman, and in North Canton, Jeff Hale.
Dr. Brian Ash, Dr. Michael Babbix, and Dr. John Ash are a family dental office focusing on orthodontics, mouth guards, crowns, bridges, and extractions. Their staff from top to bottom will exceed your expectations, for you are not just a patient to them, you are part of their family. Don't trust your smile to anyone else. Contact Doctors Ash and Babbix at 4425 Fulton Road Northwest or visit them on the web. We are creating beautiful smiles for all ages.
1372 show, the QB and the OG, recorded on location at the Hall of Fame Village in conjunction with the NFL Alumni Association, featuring former Ohio State All-American and College Football Hall of Famer TJ Downing and Jim Ballard. Listen as they mix a variety of guests from Pro Football Hall of Famers such as Curtis Martin, Jack Youngblood, and Franco Harris, to NFL legends like Mike Kent, Brad Johnson, and Irving Fryer. Subscribe to the YouTube channel today and follow along on social media. 1372 show.
Welcome back to the show. And TJ, we've got our third team over here. And again, some great kids that are on this team. Alex Goddard from Northwest, Owen Wolbert from Jackson. He's going to be back again next year. Ty Pratt over at Tuslaw. Deshaun Leachman at St. Thomas Aquinas. And how great was it to be in Evanich? I mean, he was the player of the year in the EBC. His sister was the player of the year in the EBC. Both first team. I think they were both MVPs, too, in that region.
And you look at their dad, too, Nick Evanich, and being a proud coach, having two rats there that have been around him since they were just wee high to the knees, man. And Alex Goddard, a guy averaging 14.7 points a game, knew we had to put him on there. And even Ethan Bauer. Mark, when we look back at our BSN Sports Players of the Week, Ethan Bauer was a mainstay there. What he did at Lake Center, really a tough player, put up a lot of points this year. And then Chris Tackett, he's another guy that you talked about, maybe the most improved player in the county, the big man. His dunk is still going viral. It's heard around the world now. They're talking about it over in Egypt. And to me also, two other guys that really got to point out here as we talk about some transfer overs from fall to winter. Ardell Banks at Massillon, he averaged a double-double. To me, he was really the glue for that team, and he's a high flyer, a really, really high talent coming into the next school year. But Brady Rolison, talked about him all year. Just so impressed with him. When you play on a team, I was a guy who played on an Ohio State team where it was like, how do you stick out amongst all these all-stars? This green team only had 2 losses when they matched up against Hoban, and they would lose. But Brady Rolison, with Otto out there, with Trey Martin really kind of being those guys that stepped to the forefront, he was a key piece of Coach Mark Kinsley's team that got them the distance that they did.
Well, I'll tell you, you can't be that good without good coaching. Yep. And that decision to who's going to be the top dog here,
yep.
I think it was tough to pick against Tom Sigree.
It was. Coach Sigree got that 200th win. Stark Media was in the house there when they beat Lake. For me to see somebody do something that a school hadn't done before, that's really the cherry on top. Now, you come back, and Coach Siegfried, he's a fiery coach. He gets excited, and he's going to be excited about having Hayden Nigro and also Will Aljancic back. That, all you got to do is really replace Tyler Bolden, and you could potentially make a run to beat what you did last year. Going to have to take care of Vactor St. Vincent St. Mary, though, do that.
Absolutely. I'll tell you what. So that's part of the all-Downing team. We're going to be back. We're going to be talking about the girls in the last segment, so stay tuned.
Statements and bills, but thieves use this information to steal your identity. Don't be a victim. Get the ID Police, the new ink roller that encrypts all your old documents. So before you throw it out, just roll it on, and your information is gone, both on the front and through the back. Even if the paper is held up to the light, even your medical information is safe with the ID Police. So block it out before you throw it out. Order now and get your ID Police for as low as $9.99 and get free shipping too. This offer is not available on Amazon, so call or click now to get your ID Police for as low as $9.99 with free shipping. Order now.
Call 1-800-903-6042. That's 1-800-903-6042. Or visit getidpolice.com. So call 1-800-903-6042 now.
Welcome back to the continuation of the all-Downing team, but this is going to be for the girls now, TJ, and I'll tell you what, that's a very impressive first team that you've lined up.
Lily Bottomley, what she was able to do for Northwest, I mean, just a stud down low. She could dribble, she can shoot, she can really do it all, and that's the reason we saw Northwest as high as they got ranked inside of the state AP polls, the run that they were able to make in the tournament. I think they got exited a little bit earlier than they thought they would, but some great competition out there, and then Breezy Williams, the Golden Eagle. I'll tell you what, she dominated, and she was a reason that the Glen Oak Golden Eagles, the girls team, was able to win the Federal League. And, everybody knows about Jackson and their historic run going down to Dayton and playing Mason in the Final Four. We knew that we would have to have Emma Drecke and Lauren Pilata on here. Those two were stalwarts on that team. Big reason why Coach Butch and Coach Isler, they were able to make that run. You got to have leadership. And, another one, Malvern, we talked about Mike Miner being on the first team for the boys. Maddie Powers was an absolute stud down there in the IBC. And even Meredith Randulik with the 3-ball, Grace Lyon out of Fairless, some really tough players. And then Maria Warner, Marlington, I think they got as high as number 4 in the state inside of their division. She's very worthy of that team as well.
It's a nice second team that you have, too.
Yeah, got another Golden Eagle, Kylie Derlin, she's on there as well. Brooke Herron, she's just a young sophomore. She's going to have a heck of a career coming up at Louisville. Paris Stokes was another one that, when you look at a McKinley team that struggled a little bit here and there, she was really, again, the key player on that team. Interested to see how she plays coming back. We're going to have our eyes on that young lady. And then Ashley Kudnick, she was able to kind of play off of Lily Bottomley on that Northwest team. You look at Alyssa Zeiler, she makes the team as the only Green player on there. Green had a heck of a team as well. And then you mentioned it, Connor Evanich on the boys team over there at, let's see, we had him on third team. You look at his sister, Chelsea Evanich, she makes the second team to round out the girls.
I think those are two great teams. And when you look at who's going to be Coach of the Year, again, some tough decisions that you're going to wind up making there. But I absolutely love the pick in Kevin Lauer. Kevin and I have been friends for at least 20 years. I met him when he was on the coaching staff over at Perry. And, he was coaching the boys. He took a little bit of a break. He came back, took down St. V in the tournament. What a tremendous coach he is. And I told him, because we were texting each other, and I told him, I told him ahead of time, TJ, I just wanted to let you know that. Northwest put an extra 0 in that paycheck for Coach Lauer. I think you need to do that. What a phenomenal job he's done there.
Right, and then, as you mentioned, being able to knock off Akron St. Vincent St. Mary, that girls program is strong. We hear so much as we talk about the St. V boys, again, salute to them. They just set not only the school record, but when you look at back-to-back state championships and then putting 10 of those state championships on the shelf, a state of Ohio record. We know that maybe there should be some shifting around of how things work, but still the dominance that's happened there, going all the way back to LeBron James days. Funny, I got to take my wife out to the Detroit Pistons Cavaliers game the other night and ran into maybe one of the strongest businessmen in all of the land, Rich Paul, who is LeBron James' agent. Talked to him about the days of Sheon Cotton and Romeo Travis. It's going to be, again, tough when you look at Coach Siegfried in Louisville. If they want to make the run, you're going to have to go through St. V. To me, really, when we broke down these teams, Mark, it wasn't about just who was the leading scorer. It wasn't about how many rebounds you're able to get. It was really a total package thing. You can't measure defense when you talk about how great of a player you are. And we both know that throughout the game of basketball, that's something that goes overlooked. And when you talk about the NBA game, they don't play a whole lot of defense as it is. But at the high school level, it's not just about what you average in the stat columns. It's about what you do defensively. It's about what you're able to do for your team to help them win, to have that success. Ty Pratt was a guy. We got a chance to see him against East Canton, put up his 1,000th point of his career. And to see something like that, it's a special moment. We talked about, I believe it was young Ethan Bauer. Mm-hmm. He was able to get his 1,000th point at the end of the game, laying it off the glass. So special to see how all of these players really gelled around their teammates. The success that these teams were able to have. It's always fun when it comes tournament time to see who's going to make the run, see who's going to pull the upset. And we had some really phenomenal talent throughout this area. And we know that we're really blessed around here, Mark, in Stark County. Some rich athletic history.
Absolutely. And congratulations to those players and coaches for Coach of the Year. And since we have a little bit of time left here, how's your NCAA bracket looking?
Well, I picked Illinois, so that kind of shot me in the foot there. And obviously, everybody sweated out Gonzaga the other night. But I'm always going to be a Big Ten guy, right? Mm-hmm. Playing in it, was able to have some success in it. So I love to see the Big Ten teams have the success that they do. It was great to see Purdue get a victory last night. But one guy that I'm interested to see, as I talked about Illinois being one of my Final Four teams, Coburn. When you see him line up out there on the court, it is just an imposing figure. Now they were able to. They got shut down there in the tournament and exit a little bit early. Also was disappointed, Mark. If the Buckeyes could have got it done, you get to see the Michigan Wolverines, man. Who doesn't want to see that?
There you go. And I'll tell you what, I'm make my pick. I'm rooting for the Duke Blue Devils. I want Coach K to win one more before he signs off. So thank you also for watching during the course of the season, and thank you so much for our sponsors. Make sure that you support them, and we'll see you back here next year. We'll be back with the high school football playbook. And as always, TJ, give them the release.
My new pick, go Blue, Final Four.
Thank you for watching the High School Basketball Jam Session, brought to you by Davies Pharmacy, the Hacken Financial Group, Ash Family Dentistry, the law firm of Krugliaks, Wilkins, Griffiths, and Doherty, Chick-fil-A, Kimball Companies, Friends and Family Credit Union, and SN Sports.